Thank you very much. Comrade President, who is the Program Director, Comrade Chocho James, my colleagues, the National Office Bearers of Cosatu, members of the Central Executive Committee of Cosatu, the delegation of the ANC, now I see it's led by Comrade Mwagora Matlote. The delegation of the party, at the moment led by its second Deputy General Secretary, Comrade Soli Mapaila. The delegation of Sanko, led by the Deputy President, led by the General Secretary, Tabekulu. The delegation of the ANC Women's League, I've not seen who is here, wasn't here when Prateka was acknowledging our guests, but I assume the ANC Women's League is part of Cosatu, they are here. The delegation of the ANC Youth League, led by its president, I saw the president earlier, Comrade Colin Mile. I also saw the General Secretary. The delegation of the ANC, no, Ufasimba. Our own, the Young Communist League of South Africa, led by its General Secretary. I saw him, he's here. Comrade Umlulek, President of SASCO. Comrade Tutugo Makomboti and the delegation. COSAS. Hey, Ngenas was the Ababa Lengan as a COSAS. But Comrade Moilis Kosan, the president of FEDUSA, I haven't seen him, but FEDUSA is part of our guests, ought to be led by their president, Comrade Kwos Bezaiden Ward. The president of NACT, who I now know is here, and I've not been informed. Yes. Comrade Joseph McCagan, thank you very much, President of NACT, for coming through, because people are trying to steal NACT and FEDUSA, and these leaders are refusing. They say you have been with Cosatu for many, many years, and we are not going to dump Cosatu in its time of need of our support. Thank you very much for that. The General Secretary of ITUC, I know that the Assistant General Secretary will be joining us in the next few days, because the General Secretary there won't be able to make it here. Our General Secretary, who is coming tomorrow, of WFTU, Comrade George Mavrikos, who will be joining us tomorrow, but the delegation of WFTU is here. Our distinguished guests, both locally and internationally, I must in particular acknowledge also that we have the church leadership which has always stood with us in Cosatu, even when other leaders from other churches were dumping us. They have stood with us and they are here. I saw Baba Ulibusa is here. Thank you very much. We know that they pray for Cosatu every time. We want to also acknowledge, as the national office bearers, the support we've been getting from our families through these difficult times. We acknowledge you, our partners, I can say my wife in particular, and all our family members who have stood with us all the time. We acknowledge and thank you. Do accept the revolutionary greetings from the Central Executive Committee of Cosatu, and on behalf of Cosatu's 2 million members. Have you seen what the credentials are saying? And I want the media to listen carefully to this one, because sometimes they think we are faking these numbers. It's 1,928,000. That's 2 million. We want to give special thanks to you, the delegates, sitting here. As national office bearers, we have been seeing you through all the 9 provincial congresses of Cosatu that were happening. We also saw that you were here in the last special national congress. We thank you for being here today to defend Cosatu. Thank you very much for having stood by your own organization for all this time. We know that you have refused when people were recruiting you to divide your own unions from within. We know you refused when people were saying, let's form a new federation alternate to Cosatu. You refused. You refused when people were saying, Cosatu is dead. You said, but we are here. We want to thank you for that. We want to thank Fedusa Namtu. I repeat this point. For having been giving support to Cosatu national office bearers during this period. We want to thank you for refusing to associate yourselves with an agenda that sought to liquidate Cosatu. Cosatu appreciates your role. Comrades, if it is true that we want to communicate a single message to all of you, and the message to all those who are listening from all over our country, South Africa, that message says, and it's not with arrogance, it is informed by the practical experiences we have seen as we went all over the country, speaking to members, knowing how far we have come with this project of Cosatu's unity. We can say with full confidence, all of us gathered here And I mean all of us, all the Cosatu unions, we are resolved to achieve the unity of our Cosatu, all of us here. We come from a period where we had to choose and make difficult decisions. Choose between allowing Cosatu to degenerate and be dislocated and be eaten away by some among us, or to stand together and defend this federation, Yaga Bahai. We chose to stand to defend Cosatu. It was not easy. It was a very, very difficult process. It will go into the history of our country and of the federation as a moment that in the life of Cosatu, before it reached 30 years, it had to go through a period of being pulled all the side, left, right, trying to destroy this organization. And we, all of us, will count in the future generations as people who stood together, all of us here and the workers throughout the country, to say, no, we will refuse for our Cosatu to be destroyed. At times, we had to spend money to defend Cosatu. We had to go to courts to defend Cosatu. At times, we were at each other's throats. Not a single comrade who is here will say they were not affected by the period that we have been. But we continued. It is said that believing or faith is believing to things not seen and know that they exist and believe that they exist. Most of you who had no information, no clue as to what was going on, you had to hold on one thing, a belief that maybe our CEC is correct and the decisions they have taken, they are correct. It's gonna be only here when you will then hear the whole truth today. But because of that belief, you stood with your leaders all the time. We appreciate that. But we say at this Congress, the whole truth shall come. We are bringing this organization to yourselves. You handed it over to the CEC and this leadership in 2012. You said you want a united Cosatu. It has not been easy. But at least we are standing here to say, here is your Cosatu. Do what you want to do with it. There has been attempts by many, many forces. You know, at the last Special National Congress, I said something here, something that I knew was correct, but maybe not all of you knew. In particular, that people were pumping money to destroy this federation. Money that was coming from countries outside this country. When I said that here, and I don't retract an inch of the words that I said about that issue. kwakhala iMelika. America cried. And America wanted to meet with us. Initially, when they wrote us a letter, I said to the national office bearers, these people want to meet with us. Should we? And we felt that we were not going to meet with them. They then went through our government and persuaded government. We finally, after a period of 2 months, agreed to meet with them. And we showed them evidence of what we're talking about. And as they saw what we're talking about, they say, yeah, no, Cosatu. Yeah, we agree now. You were justified to say these things we're saying. We have been taking some of your leaders abroad and negotiating them to get funding. They were saying they are fundraising for Cosatu. We said, but we never got a cent of that money. Now, whilst we're looking for that, and I'm not going to take you to that detail, but then they told us more, even things we didn't ask for. We will brief the CEC, or the incoming leadership will brief the CEC in detail of that particular matter. But we stand by our word that some countries from the North America in particular were involved in destabilizing Cosatu and destabilizing this country for whatever purpose we still do not know. Now you are the workers, you are the owners of Cosatu. I said to you at this special national congress, things have gone wrong the way they have is because the workers, the owners of this federation have let their guards down. So let's all wake up. People want this Cosatu for a political party called the Workers' Party. People want this Cosatu to form something that must challenge the current alliance led by the ANC, an alternate to Cosatu itself. They want Cosatu to form an alternative to itself. So you've got to stand up. We will brief the CEC about that particular detail. Books are written. Books are written. There's a book recently written by some erstwhile members of the SACP who were expelled, others, or some of them failed to stay comfortably in the SACP and moved out. They are in some universities here. They've written a book about us without us, Cosatu. They say Cosatu in crisis. The president, Comrade George, of course, he reads a lot. He has read the foreword of that book. You must go read it, but don't buy it. You can Google it and read it. Because we mustn't support people who are destroying us. The foreword of that book called Cosatu in Crisis was written 2 years back, before we even took certain decisions here. The foreword was written, which was spelling out the disaster or sort of the death of Cosatu. It is written there 2 years ago, and the book is published on the eve of the Congress of Cosatu to confuse all of us here, because abantu abafundile have written that Cosatu is in a crisis. Go and read that book, but don't buy it. But we know that people got a lot of money to write that book. Because Cosatu is now a market where people can come and make a lot of money. We shall refuse, Mabaila, to allow Cosatu to be feeding into greedy people who want us to believe that we are that bad when we know our weaknesses, when we know our challenges, when we are dealing with our own challenges. But people who are not even members of Cosatu unions will continue to write these things. We refuse. No one should write our obituary, particularly when they don't even speak to us. But this Congress has got to reassert the character of the federation as we have known it. Discipline, militant, campaigning, representing the interest of the workers in South Africa, interacting with the struggles of the working class in South Africa, ensuring that we form alliances with the progressives and strengthen the alliance that is there and ensure that it delivers. I will come back to the alliance. Ngiyathanda mangikhuluma nge-SACP ne-ANC ngoba masila siyakwazi ukutshena namaqiniso. We are therefore, comrades, reporting to you that all the Cosatu unions are back in Cosatu. All of them. We have 18 unions. We appreciate that because it has been the work in the different divides that we have been. Each divide has been engaging, informed by one objective. We want a united Cosatu. And it has come to the point now where we converge. We are converging here. We want one thing, the unity of our own Cosatu. So, there is no enemy union here of Cosatu. These are the unions of Cosatu. Treat each other like that. Yes, you shall be robust. Yes, you shall stand up, sing when you want to sing, following the rules that have been adopted. But very critically, this leadership, the Central Executive Committee, met in the last sitting of the CEC a few weeks ago. Even the union that did not come sent an apology that was respecting the CEC, and the CEC was happy to accept that apology. So all of them were there. Ngiyazi ke ngoba laba beindaba basekho nje nalapha sekuselela amakamera nje ethu kuphela. They did not want to listen to that good story. But we don't need them to tell our story. It is our story. It is what we know. It is what we are experiencing. That we have worked so hard for this unity and the results are beginning to show. You know, they are even lying here when you were voting on credentials. They are here. The media is here. But they feed lies on radio. Thousands have rejected the credentials. What type of a lie? When the results were announced here by IEC, they then feed the wrong information outside and into South Africa that thousands have rejected. When all of us, you know, democracy says, this Congress, all of us, we then, after voting or after deferring, we then all of us adopted the credentials of this Congress. That's what happens. Because the democracy hamba kanjalo angithi. Comrades, the plight of the working class, and I can talk to different sectors. I can say that in mining, Bamatosa, abasebenzi bathwele kanzima. Employers want to retrench in thousands. We need to stand together to defend those jobs. In the retail sector, Babu Bones School, they want to retrench in thousands. We have to stand together to defeat that. Kanyamazane kunenkampani okuthiwa uMbaba le Mpumalanga. Workers have been on strike for the past 3 weeks from the 4th of November to date. The employer now wants to dismiss them. Why? Those workers, 3,500 of them, want a union to be recognized in their workplace, and the employer is wanting to dismiss them. We have to stand together. We have to stand together in the most difficult times. Manufacturing. Sometimes, Comrade EP, we don't know how to thank our government and the efforts you are employing to assist the manufacturing sector. It cannot be enough. Employers, workers feeling the squeeze of the economy would have retrenched hundreds of thousands of those workers. I know for a fact that in the metal sector, billions were pumped by this government to save those jobs there. Siyabonga. It's not enough, but thank you very much. It's an effort that is recognized. Not because you are coming from Cosatu or SABC, but because the collective there knows the plight we're facing there. We thank you for those interventions. Kwenzeni konke niyokwenza naseDunlop. There is a company that used to be called Dunlop in Durban, the biggest of it in the tire sector. It has closed down. And workers have lost jobs. The community there suffers because that company that used to employ those thousands who were feeding thousands of their families. We've called for Comrade Rob Davis. He has promised. We hope he comes around so that we can save those jobs, we can save that company. You know, these employers are so ruthless. The president of Limusa works for a particular company. He implements the decision that says you are now 3 months on the job, we should be registered permanently. And he assists those suffering employees. He's a permanent employee himself, but he's helping those that are vulnerable. What does the employer do? They fire him. The matter is taken to the processes because they want him fired so that they weaken the union, a small union in Cosatu, which is very critical, Limusa. They fire a president for recruiting and ensuring that the employer observes the law. When they are taken to task, they realize that they have no case. They now say, can we settle? Can you tell us how much you want? Thank you, Wenam Dleche, for refusing to be blackmailed by those employers. If all of us could be like that, even in the most difficult times of our lives, Singenamali, he has not been paid for the past 2 months or 3 months fighting this case. We're still fighting that case. But when the employer offers him a settlement in the form of money, they say, tell us how much you want, we'll just sign and you go. He refuses. How many of you would do that? So, we have to stand together. We have to stand firm together and fight this. I want to join FAO lapha ke babukatishi lapha siyolwa nalomqasho ofuna ukuxosha laba abasebenzi eMbaba. Asihambe siye lapha. Siyolungisa leyo nkinga. But we will not succeed, comrades, if we are divided. If we are divided as affiliates, if we are divided as Cosatu, let us hold on now. Akeke nithi ho. Sime manje ukuloku sixabana sodwa. Yes, ngiyayizwa impela FAO. Asimeni manje ukuxabana sodwa, silungisane, siqondisane siye phambili. That is what the workers want from us. That is what workers want from us. The global economic crisis has impacted negatively also on the economy of South Africa. I've said that the manufacturing sector, the mining sector, the retail sector is the hardest hit by this situation. So our unions have got to work together. We've got to support each other. We are founded on the principle also of workers' solidarity. And we must always work to support one another. I wanted then, Comrade President, in short, to address this matter of the alliance. But before I address that matter, I am supposed to say on behalf of this Congress and on behalf of the CEC, because we have a mandate from the CEC. Government must never interfere with the workers' provident funds and the retirement funds. Without consulting us. It is our money. It is not the government's money. It is our salaries, we call them deferred salaries, which we will use when we come through difficult times, like we get retrenched, we retire, or we die. It is our salaries. It will be important for an ANC government to consult with us on that matter. Because we will refuse, we're not going to agree. It's one matter that we have said, we will apply for a Section 77 if government does not listen on this matter. Secondly, the government must remember that we need a comprehensive social security plan in South Africa. And we are appealing that that matter has got to be addressed soon. It has been lying in abeyance for the past 10 years, yet so critical. Should that matter or the paper on the comprehensive social security be resolved, it will allow us to have a better discussion even about the matter you're trying to raise, Treasury. because these issues are linked. A comprehensive social security helps to protect those vulnerable workers who fall through the cracks of the economy. We have to resolve that matter. Treasury and social development must work together on that matter so that we look into that paper. Because, and I know people have been making a hula baloo. Cosatu is saying they are not going to vote for the ANC in the local government elections unless government stops interfering with the pensions and the provident fund of the workers. It's a warning. As comrades, we must warn each other. This matter is so sensitive amongst ourselves, the workers. Those who have been in Cosatu for a long time will remember that one of the issues that led to the 1973 Durban strikes was the issue of the pension funds and the provident funds. Because workers were saying, we do not want to die before we can access our money. Now the NUM has a better story to tell about that because they lost a leader at some point about this particular issue. So let us engage properly, government, and find each other on this question, because it means so much to the worker who has a meager salary, who depends and hopes that when he is retrenched, before finishing paying for the bond, he is going to go to that pension fund or the provident fund, cash it to pay up the bond. Now, if government, in encouraging us to save, says the law that must come in must prevent us from cashing up the lump sum, it's fair and good. But talk to us so that we say also what we think about your good idea of teaching us to save. We'll tell you about the comprehensive social security plan. We'll tell you about the national minimum wage. We'll tell you about the decent jobs. We'll tell you about the need to ensure that those monies must also be invested properly, because they are only invested in building malls which we cannot even access. So talk to us, our government, so that we resolve this matter. Striking now. Now, there is a matter that frustrates the national office bearers of Cosatu and the CEC at large. We are concerned that in the ANC-led alliance, the succession debate for leadership in 2017 has started in 2013 or 2012 or 2015, when you still have to win elections in 2016. People are debating now, some even claiming that Cosatu supports a particular leader. Some even claiming no, Cosatu does not support a particular leader. The CEC has discussed this matter and holds a view that we must discourage the debate on the succession on who must take over after President Zuma. Win elections first. unite the ANC, unite the alliance, and show that you have an alliance that is strong and capable of defending itself and this country from these forces who want to steal away this country. Money will destroy us. Money will destroy our organizations. Even trade unions will be destroyed by money. Uvumelana ukuthengwa ngemali. Why do you subject yourself to such a degrading, inhuman condition of being bought by money? You lose your soul. You are no more yourself. You get into the pocket of an individual who has money. It's going to destroy us all of us. Lincane iphakethe lomuntu. Khona manje sesigogo ama-slim fit. If you get here into this pocket, you will suffocate. You will not even be able to enjoy the money that I've given you. But you would have lost your soul. You would have lost your personality. You will be lying to yourself and you will be lying to everybody. Everything you say from the time you have taken money to be bribed, you will be a lie. You will be lying because it will be dependent on the master who gave you the money. Okay. Last time I said free yourself. Today I say save yourself. From being in the pocket of somebody that doesn't like you but wants to use you with the money they have. So, we want a strong ANC-led alliance that is capable of representing the interest of the working class, yes, and everybody in the country. They are very important. But we want an ANC, an SACP, Cosatu, Sanko that are united and strong. The tide against us is so huge. On Cosatu, then I'll be sitting down to allow Congress to proceed. The task facing us the immediate one is to consolidate the unity of Cosatu through our Back to Basics campaign. Asibuyele emasisweni. Organizers must go and service members and recruit more members. Shop stewards must go and service members and recruit more members and defend their organizations. It is so nice and convenient, and it is possible at this Congress that can be the case. Nice and convenient to say we are in all these problems because Cosatu is divided. Does Cosatu exist without the unions? Can there be a Cosatu without strong unions of Cosatu? Ngiyazi maselishaya ethanjeni niyathula kanje. Yeah, there is no Cosatu without the unions under Cosatu. Therefore, let us build these unions through our Back to Basics campaign. Yekelani manje niyanqumana, niyasuspendana, niyaxoshana, yonke lento le. enzakalayo. Ayihambani niyokhulumisana maqabane. Sinbize sizokhuluma nani, niyasuka nina anizi. If I had the power, which I don't have, I was going to propose to this Congress on the constitutional amendments to empower the CEC of Cosatu mandating the national office bearers of Cosatu to intervene in the unions. If they are refused by the national leadership of the provincial leadership at a provincial level to intervene in the union, whereby the union phela manje, they should be able to speak to members of that union. Because it is ourselves who kumashelwa thina there and there, members saying, "I skade something organize or reunion yethu nayo iyaphela nithini nina." And masifika la namba yibo laba ontshalitshali noSidumo abadala ama division kulama union, hayi sibhekeni nina nani, and solve your problems. Yeah, noma ningaziqhwaba ngezandla kuleyo nto kodwa niyizwa kahle. But I don't have that power. It's my wish. Because it's painful to see a union eating itself away until it finishes itself. So please, Maqabane, let's do that. Let us consolidate our unions. Our second task, and we've been criticized here. They say, the national office bearers of Cosatu under the stewardship of Sidumo Dlamini has failed to implement the resolutions of 2012, have failed to implement the collective bargaining resolutions, have failed to unite Cosatu, have failed under the stewardship of Sidumo. Bese kuba nabantu abanye sebathi angibuyele eSwazini. Angaze ngizwe izinophobia njena. They want to personalize this thing to this leadership. If there are resolutions that have not been implemented, where were they supposed to be implemented? By whom? But we are not going to enter the blame game here. We mustn't. We mustn't enter the blame game. Let us fix the issues that have not been addressed for a while. So our task is to, at this Congress, look to those resolutions that have not been implemented and say, how then do we implement them going forward and stop this whole thing? All of you have said point blank clearly, if anybody was inviting you to join something that is called a united front, you have all refused. So let's forget about that. Let's look inside and build our Cosatu to implement those resolutions. Our third task, I know leaders here know how painful it is to lead an organization that is financially unstable. I would want to use that word because others have said we're broke. We're not broke. Cosatu is not broke. Cosatu appreciate that it had to use a lot of money on some of the things or many things that were not budgeted for, imposed by the conditions we have been going through. So leaders here will know how difficult it is to go and fundraise for an organization. And I must thank those who said, even if Cosatu is going through these difficulties, we shall support this Congress and pour out money to support this Congress. Labo soma business, nabanye nje abangama individuals who have done that, thank you very much. And because we are transparent, we are circulating a list in the system here, you will see that. But our appreciation cannot be measured. I can guarantee you there was going to be a choice between two things. You pay the bonuses of the staff and you don't have a Congress. Or you have a Congress and you have a strike by the workers of Cosatu and all the other programs stop. We did not choose either of the two. We said we want our staff, our employees to be able to have their bonuses because they are due for their bonuses and they will have that. But we want a successful Cosatu Congress. Angazi umimele ngikadeni khona la abezwa labo bantu. They don't listen. You say to them, like any organization, Cosatu had to fundraise. They say, no, Cosatu was going knocking to every business person, limping with a hat in hand, begging for money. That's not true. So we thank those who sponsored this Congress for it to be successful. We shall account for every cent in the CEC, or here even if you want us to do so. Asina mona, asina mahloni ngokusho sinitshela cha basinikile imali besifuna ukuthi le Congress iphumelele. But we also thank those unions of Cosatu, starting by saying all of them, because it is their sub-affiliation fees that have also made this Congress to be possible. But we had to then go back to them and say, please, fagani more. And they did that, some of them, not all of them. And we understand that they would have all wished to make that contribution. But the squeeze our unions are going through is so painful. We know and appreciate that. But thank you very much, those of our unions. Some of them even sponsored these T-shirts we are wearing. So thank you very much for that. It shows that we are all committed to a united Cosatu and a Cosatu that is able to take the issues of the workers forward. Let us not betray those goodwill activities and commitments to the Federation. This is our Congress. Let us build our Cosatu. We will account to the workers on what we did over these 4 days that we'll be staying here. But I know one thing, we all have come here to build. Let us listen to one another. No one should feel that they were undermined at this Congress. I even appeal to the two unions. I do not know whether there was an explanation, no, but of course I was out. Two unions here, which are not here. One of them writes us a letter. They say, GS acting, we are now withdrawing our participation to this Congress because you have said we must buy tables. And I consult with the leadership, which are the tables that I now recalled, okay, there's an exhibition outside. We're saying people must pay 3,000, those who will be displaying their stuff there. It's what is done to fundraise. Not a lot of money that comes out of that. But when we engage with the comrades, they say, no, maybe the letter was written wrongly. We felt that we should not come because we could not afford the donation you were asking us to donate. You know, the money that I've just spoken about. I said, but comrades, this is not new. We've done this before, and we don't kill anybody who is not able to get that money to Cosatu. Come to your Congress. They say the second reason we are unable to come to this Congress, we don't want to come because we believe this Congress will be like the Special National Congress. I said, but comrades, again, you are wrong. Why you saying that before you even come to that Congress? Come to that Congress, and if you think that it is something else that you didn't expect, you should be able to raise that matter inside. So these comrades are not here. They are very important. There may be a number that you sitting there can say, it's a small number, we don't care. It's a critical number in Cosatu because it represents members outside there. They ought to be here. This is the first day of Congress. They must come back tomorrow because everyone is here. You know this thing of sihlale sisakhe itulo sithi hayi sizongaya kwi-Congress. Sivumelane, the next thing about 10 bayaya kwi-Congress, laba ababili abasayi kwi-Congress. That's a problem. It's like a man who is foolish, who says to his friend, you know, my friend, my family, my wife is so good like this as you see her. It's because I beat her every day. So they discuss and they agree. He says, oh, so you think my wife can respect me if I beat her also? The man says, yes, that's what I do with my wife. I beat her every day. Just watch me. As I go home, you will hear her cry. He goes, follows the man. The man comes to his house. He takes an old skin, beats the skin and tells his wife to cry. And he's not beating her, he's beating something else. And then this man says, oh yeah, he means it, it's true. Then he starts beating his own wife. That's a problem when we scheme on wrong things and say we shall boycott the Congress of Cosatu, and we agree in a corner somewhere, and then tomorrow others change their mind and they don't tell you that our mind have changed. So those comrades must join this Congress tomorrow. Those who were not counted to our back of my credentials, because we are all here building our Cosatu. Futhi umoya muhle la kumnandi, akho umuntu othuka omunye, akho umuntu ozondo omunye. Sizokwakha eyethu iCosatu. We are building our own organization. At the end of the Congress, we'll be having one solid Cosatu. So let's do that. I invite all of you in opening this Congress, do exactly that. Let us build our federation. We have nothing else on our hands but this federation. Thanks to the former national office bearers of Cosatu, those who have been able to help us. I don't know how to thank those who were throwing stones at us from outside. Thanks to the former CEC leaders of Cosatu who came and spoke to us and guided us through and through these years of these difficulties. Thanks to the ANC, which has stood and said, let's help Cosatu. Thanks to the South African Communist Party, which has done the same. Today, we are here saying to you, the workers, it's your Congress. Thanks to these comrades. All of you. Because this leadership collective, this one, was put by yourself firstly in 2009. The 6 of us. In 2012, you again reaffirmed us. We are here today. We are just -1. In the history of this federation, EP, you will correct me. In the history of this federation, I have not found a period where the leadership was able to stand together. For the period, the 6 of us have been able to stand together from 2009 to 2015. Now we're -1 due to the decision taken about a few months ago, 6 months ago. But the totality of these 2 consecutive terms, we have had a solid leadership of this federation that stood together. Nibabongele laba comrade lava. We want to thank our Central Executive Committee, all of them, for having worked with this leadership. Times were very difficult, sometimes were very nice, Masia. You know that. There were very nice times of the CEC. There were very bad times in the CEC when we were dealing with the issues. So, as national office bearers, we thank the CEC that is of the leadership that is sitting here, of having carried and held the fort together through this difficult time. Here is your Cosatu. Decide what you do about her. Thank you very much for having trusted us. It has come to the point where our term will be ending here. It was a privilege. It was an opportunity given to us by members of this country. It will go in our hearts for a long time that there was a time when we were respected and being trusted by the workers of this country about their lives, about their situation that we shall lead. We have tried the best that was possible. We have succeeded in some instances. We have failed in some instances. Maybe we have failed more than we had succeeded. But we thank you for having afforded us that opportunity. It's something that doesn't come easy or to everybody. This Congress is therefore duly opened. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Comrade President. Siyabonga. Siyabulela. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ngoke. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nahao. Comrade President, there's one thing you have not mentioned that is raised about Cosatu in the very book you are referring to. They say Cosatu is paralyzed. I'm a mine worker myself. I know what is meant by paralysis. If it is referred to a human being, it means that person cannot be able to use his or her limbs. He cannot walk or she cannot walk. We came here walking. We were not carried. That's one thing you have forgotten. But I'm not going to go to another characterization that you know I give to that paralysis for the sake of this Congress. Having said that, Comrade Magwenju, your bag is here in front. Come and have your bag. We have identified it with some contents in there bearing your name. Come here and reclaim your bag, Comrade Magwenju. And there are other 2 bags. There are other 2 bags that are not claimed here. Unfortunately, we don't have names inside. But they must come, those comrades, and identify these 2 bags. And there is also a pair of spectacles here. The owner must come forward and claim this spectacle. Magwench, here is your bag, comrade. Now, comrades, without any further waste of time, we are now going to invite the...
Well, that is where we are going to leave it for now here on Channel 404. News is up next, but do remember that a little later on when President Jacob Zuma arrives to address the Cosatu Congress, we will also be bringing you that speech live here on Channel 404. For now, it's to the news desk.
Get all the latest news from the SABC's online news services on our website. Breaking news and in-depth coverage of everything from business, sports to politics and lifestyle. Catch the top news clips and watch live streaming of major news events on the SABC News YouTube channel whenever. Stay connected on the SABC News Facebook page and have your say on news that matters to you. And for the latest headlines and live updates from our reporters, follow us on Twitter. SABC Digital News, anytime, anywhere.
On Trends, we take you down memory lane with Lionel Richie, who will be touring South Africa next year.
Just saying.
We pick up the best of movies to lead you to a joyous weekend full of action. South African Fashion Week was back with a bang, showing off new designs for 2016. Mikasa's Home Sweet Home album will keep you dancing this festive season. For more entertainment news, join your host Refulo Mula every Friday at 9 p.m.
Are you saying the king must go to jail? You are not royal blood, therefore you are going to serve time on behalf of the king. Where does the public protector stand on this matter? Are you with the marches, for the marches, against the march? If this is your ancestor, it is very much his ancestor as well, because this is the cradle of humankind. Is there God somewhere in your science? Drinking the blood of a person with albinism gives extra magical powers. A man of the cloth is involved here because it would mean that somehow religion is being brought into this part of the myth. What do you say to it?
Watch Question Time with me, Mpho Tsedu, Monday to Thursday at 5:30 p.m.